What's up and good evening, everybody. Today we got a 2018 Honda. Well, it's the evening, so we got a 2018 Honda Accord. We're going to be doing the transmission service on. That's why it's in Jack's now. Jack is over here. Stand is over there. That's why it's up in the air right now. We're going to do the transmission service on it. We're also going to do the cabin air filter, engine air filter, as well as the fuel injectors and fuel pipeline. It has some codes. They took it to someone else. I didn't diagnose this one. They took it somewhere else, and then they asked me if I could just do the work. So I said, sure. You know, after that, if there's any more issues, then they're going to stay with me, and we're going to figure it out together. But hopefully this is, fixing it. Like I said, I'm not the one who diagged it. I'm just doing the work for them. But real quick, I got it on the stands. It's on the jack on that side, but if it falls, I can still wiggle out of there if I had to. But real quick, I'm going to show you where I got to do this. I have a catch bucket and a funnel and a drain pan right there. I'm going to catch the fluid into the catch bucket, measure it out, add my new stuff in, plug everything back up, and then add the stuff in. The initial fill is between 3.5 and 3.7. I told them just get 4 quarts, so they did that. If it's lower than that when we pull it out, we'll kind of go from there. But that's about that. But real quick, let's get underneath here. Right off the bat, you kind of notice there was some front end damage. Not sitting up there, but underneath here you can. So you see that plug right there? Has a 3/8 opening. That's where you drain the fluid from. So you're going to drain it out there, catch it, plug that back up, and then add your new fluid in. If you want to flush some, you can. If you don't want to, you don't necessarily have to. But that's their shield down here, and it is completely mangled. But now let's go up top. So you know how to drain it now. Now in order to fill it, let me see if I can get you guys to see it. It's going to be down over here. And you see that guy right there has HCF2 written on it. You pull that out, put the funnel in there, then put your fluid in, and that's about that for the transmission. We're going to do the injectors, which are back here. Let that focus. Hold on. Let's go over to this side. There's a real good idea on how mangled that is. But you see right through here, you have to pull that off. So once we get to there, I'll show you kind of step by step or a little bit by little bit on what to do. And then we're going to go from there. I am going to pull the codes that way. If there is any issues, once I get everything back together and clear the initial codes, I'll have an idea on what is there, so I can kind of go from there with it. But for that, we're going to go from there. Once I get everything pulled and written down, at some point I'll show you what the codes are, and we'll kind of just look at that briefly. And then if there is any issues after everything's back together, we'll get it all figured out from there. But I don't think there's going to be an issue. Hoping not, at least. So without further ado, let's get to it. Do this one-handed. We get the ratchet in the ratchet hole. It's hard to do it too. I'm trying to focus and whatnot. I got a flappy snappy. I'll just give this a little pull, maybe a smack. There we go. That's why you use 2 hands. Don't do what I did, guys, because it ain't gonna work. All right, that was a lot harder than what I was anticipating. I actually had to do 180, put my foot against this, and then use that as leverage to actually break it free. But it is broke free now. So that was on there pretty good, guys. There is no way I was gonna get that one-handed, even if I wanted to. But let's see if I can get this one-handed. I feel like I'm gonna spill. Let's see if it happens. Yeah, let's say right about there. See, I did spill, but it's all right. So that's just gonna kind of sit there and drain. That's dirty. It's CVT fluid. It's smelly and it is dirty. So we're gonna drain it. Kind of going from there. It's bubbling. It's bubbling, but it's gonna go from there. I spilled. Drain it all out and fill it all up back in. I'm gonna flush some through to make it nice and clean again though. All right, we got our funnel set up. Got the bottom all buttoned up, so all I got left to do is add the fluid, put back in the check plug, and then drop it down and finish up the other couple things. So let's see how far we get. So far I'm only in an hour in, if that, like 20 minutes, and didn't take long to do the other stuff. So let's get it. All right, guys, we got to drop back down. Quick little tidbit. In order to get the fuel pressure out, you can just leave it on, not really take it out, or you can. It's quick and easy. You just pop the trunk, get the filler neck out of there. You know, it's just to put gas in so you can put it into your tank. But pop open your tank, put the filler tube in there, take out the fuse. It's going to be your back fuse on the driver's side. It's blue. It has some copper prongs. Pull that out, start the car, let it starve itself with fuel, put it back in, put everything back to normal. Then you can pull off the fuel rail and everything off in the back without any fuel pressure. Little trick, nice little trick. If you don't have a computer, you know, or have any other ideas on how to take off fuel pressure. But let's get you guys flipped around real quick and I'll show you what I'm kind of doing. All right, so I'm kind of going through and unplugging sensors and clips and stuff like that. So I'm undoing that one right there. I'm gonna go ahead and do that one over there, some more over there, and then you got some bolts along the back and you got some underneath. You can kind of see where they are. You got one kind of right in there, should have another one there, and then that's it. You do got to pull the high pressure line off, I believe, but once we get to there, we're gonna go from there. But I just wanted to kind of show you where I'm at with that. You do got a couple, you know, hoses that you need to undo. Nothing too crazy, guys. It's pretty easy so far. All right, guys, it was a little more complicated than what I was thinking. Well, it wasn't really complicated. It was pretty easy, just tedious. So it was all pretty much done on this side. Your throttle body goes here. You had to remove these two screws, bolts. They're all bolts. Remove these two. You got a little clip you have to unpry here, pull off. You got some stuff up here, right here. Depending on how your hoses are, if they're easier to pull off from right here, you can. I didn't want to fight with trying to get something down into there, so I just undid them here and here. This one goes to right here, and then this guy goes to right there. All right, so over here you had some bolts. You had this bracket and that. This just sits over your high pressure pump, your high pressure fuel pump. So that bracket goes over that. Once you get that bracket off, you can pull that off. You have a bolt that hangs onto it right here, and then you had another one over here. I already took the stuff apart, but that's where these two were. So that bracket, these two sit right here, right there to right there. Undo those, pull that off. Your throttle body sits down in right there. This goes to that. That's your turbocharger right here. So you just undo this. Well, it's your intake, part of your intake system, not really your turb skis. I don't think this one has a turbo. No, it doesn't. So you undo those two clamps, sit on that, pull that off, pull this off, and you can get to your throttle body bolts. But you do have to remove the battery. Once you get all that off, come back over here. You had one, that stud right there, two, this one right there, and then 3 right there, and then 4, 5 right there to pull off. Once you get all those off, pretty much golden, you know? So we got all that back together, or off. Now we're gonna work on the fuel rail, and then I'll show you what I did from there. All right, fuel rail is out. This just has a rubber grommet that goes over it and clips in, and a clip that goes into that. That is where your fuel pipeline is. That's this guy right here. The old one, new one, replacing both of those. All the injectors, fuel rail stays. In order to get to that, you have to pull the intake off. I already showed you that. Once you get the intake up and off, you have that grommet right there. And then, it's kind of hard to see, but you got the fuel rail that runs across right here. Focus, right here. Runs across here. Your injectors are right here, here, there, and over there. I should really have something in those cylinder holes. I just didn't put anything there, and that's okay. So next step, get the bolts and nuts off, and then you undo your clips, pull them out, pull the injectors out, swap everything over, put it all back together. That fuel pipeline is a 19, and you have to come over here. My dog's with me. Daisy, say hi. You have to come over here. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but right, no, where's it at? Right back, kind of, right there. See that? A hole with some threads in it. That's where the pipeline bolts back into. So now we're gonna swap out, pull the other injectors out that are still in there, put the new injectors in, get it all back together, and I'll show you it running. It's been a long day, guys, but moving along nice and smooth, steady pace. Did run into a couple hiccups here and there, but we got them figured out. Mainly hoses that weren't wanting to come free, but we got them free now. We got tools scattered all throughout. She's just enjoying herself. But let's get to it. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4 injectors are out. 3 are there, the new ones. My 4th new one's right there. And then get a look in there. Injector cylinder, injector cylinder, injector cylinder. Got a lot of carbon buildup. I'm gonna clean some of this up before I put it back together. But that's where your injectors sit. All right, let's get it back together. All right, guys, it's all back together. It was fat fingers. Bolts kept dropping in spots that I couldn't really reach. I had to maneuver them out. Finally was able to get the bolts out. Everything's back together now. Running in great shape, no issues whatsoever. All in all, it's pretty decent. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend coming up as well. Just kind of keep in mind when you're doing it, you know, I don't really got a lot of tips for this one. It's pretty straightforward, you know. Just kind of take your time with it. Don't go too crazy. Got some food in my beard. Was eating while I was working. Don't try rushing yourself. Just kind of take your pace. If you work slower, that's perfectly fine. If you work faster, good for you. But don't rush it. That's how things break. The only thing I wish I did differently was had it spin around. So I had it backed into the garage, facing out. That way I could just work off the back of my truck. I wish I had the car nosed in instead, and like facing the wall. That way I could have the overhead light. My flashlight died halfway through it, so I had to use my phone light, which was not very good. But excuse me. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any ideas for what's coming, let me know. The next car I'm working on that's going to be, videoed is going to be a Nissan. We're going to do spark plugs and coils on that. I'll show you guys that on the next one. But thanks for watching. Stay happy, stay safe, chase them dreams. Anything's possible as long as you put the effort, time, and willpower into it. But stay happy, stay safe, chase those dreams, guys. You guys can make it.